back to my YouTube channel. So lovely to have you here, and if you're new, welcome. My name's Ella and I upload every Wednesday and Sunday. Really love it if you could like and subscribe, would mean a hell of a lot to me, and obviously I'd love to have you around. Today's video I'm going to talk about new versus old or pre-existing houses and the pros and cons. If you don't know already, we've recently bought our new build house, so I apologise if it leans more towards pros being new build. I'm really trying not to go that way. I've got everything written down as well, so if I look down, it's because I'm looking at my iPad with my notes, because guaranteed I'm going to go off on one and go completely off subject and not know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm going to start with new builds first and the pros. So one of the main pro for me personally was that everything's new. You walk in, it's all fresh, you've got a blank canvas to work with. I find it easier to picture what your house is going to look like and how you'd like to decorate it. So because everything's new as well, obviously you've got your warranty, the NHBC warranty. I think that's 10 years, and then you've got, oh my god, I should know this, but 10 years warranty. So obviously, say if your boiler breaks down or anything major with the house, you're covered. With a new build as well, you can choose, well, depending on when you reserve or decide that you want a new build property, and depending when the new build property is going to be ready. Unfortunately, we didn't choose, everything was already chosen for us. However, if you do start early enough in the process, and I'm pretty sure you can choose up until it's like, it's a shell. A shell? I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that unfortunately, because I haven't gone through that process for myself, but you can basically obviously choose the cupboards, like obviously your kitchen design, carpet, things that obviously within a pre-existing you obviously can't choose that, you're buying what's already there. But obviously with a new build you can choose, and I think that's a major incentive to purchase it. Another thing you can choose, which is what I really like personally with a new build, is that you can obviously pick your plot. You can choose which house depending on how many of the houses that they build. So we live in a Stockton with Bellway, you've obviously got Palm, the Cherry, different styles of houses. I know we wanted to get a large 3-storey townhouse, but they are very hard to come across on this like estate. They don't build very many of them, so that's where you probably wouldn't be able to choose your plot. But say with a, I don't know, a different one that they make more of. I hope I'm making sense here, but you know what I mean? You can choose, like we could choose what road we wanted to be on, we could choose what end of the road as well. So I find that's a major incentive for the location purposes. Build as well, of course you've got the Help to Buy scheme. I'm not sure how long it's going on for. I personally didn't use the Help to Buy scheme, but also you've got shared ownership, which I think is amazing. If you're struggling to get onto the property ladder, I think these are very good incentives. Own your own home, because it's hard enough as it is. Like obviously we were renting for years and we were very lucky with how we got our house, but obviously everyone hasn't got that, so I find really helpful. I'm not like flying through this, by the way. I'm trying not to talk because I talk so much, it's ridiculous. So I'm trying to cut down my editing, and I'm sure my future self will thank me later. But basically another one, major one for us, was that there was no chain. Now I'm on about first time buyers obviously. So first time buyer, if you've got buying a new build, you just move straight into it. Our process was so quick, we moved in within 6 weeks, with it from reserving to moving in, which is so quick. Now if you're buying existing, of course there's was more likely going to be a chain. Very unlikely you're going to be able to just move into that property and then there's no one else above you, etc. Or if you're not first time buyers and you're having to sell your home, you know what I mean, the chain just gets bigger. What I'm realising with living in this house is it's so energy efficient. We're currently going through a heat wave, which is so hot, like it's killing me. But I'm realising that the house just retains, oh I can't speak, retains, I'm sure it's retains heat. So it is so warm in this house. We're keeping it cool in the sense we obviously can shut our blinds, curtains and whatever else, but it's going to be a major pro for myself anyway, because I'm always cold in the winter, and we are an end terrace, so we've got no one the other side of us. We've got a house this side but no one the other side, so it just goes to show how warm and how well insulated this property is. Incentives, right? When you go for a new build, make sure you get as much as you can out of the builder. Honestly, I cannot stress this enough. Our personal incentives were, because we bought the house late, it was already built, it already had everything in with it, so our incentives come with it. So we had all carpets in, which I'll go on to a bit later, but obviously you don't normally get your carpets included. We've got our turf included, we had an upgraded kitchen, we also got £1,000. Yeah, we got £1,000 for removal costs. They put it down as a removal cost. You haven't got to put it. We didn't have a. Oh well, we did have a removal van, but obviously it didn't cost £1,000. Can't remember how much a removal van cost now, but it was obviously like next to nothing. So that money actually paid for a lot of our solicitor fees, etc. And you can, well, or you can put it on household items, whatever. But I know that they are obviously competing with all different new build properties. They basically screen the highest. So make sure you have a look around and kind of shop for what you can get off. Snagging. Now, I've got this in my cons, which I'll also go on a bit later, but obviously snagging, it's so strange because I still feel like we are renting this property. It doesn't feel like ours, purely because if anything goes wrong, I don't know, a chip. Our French doors needed adjusting due to heat, etc. So they got fixed straight away. Bellway have been absolutely amazing in getting everything done for us. I'm not joking, I would just send them a message and they'll be around instantly. We had like painting, it's really silly little things, like they've come and basically repainted the house for us, because when we moved, obviously scuffs everywhere, like it's just guaranteed you're not going to get scuffs, like especially with being white walls. And it's always going to be white, bear that in mind. It's very rare that you're obviously going to, well no, yeah, they're always going to be white. I'm pretty sure they do a blank canvas so you can decorate how you want. So you could just touch the walls and obviously they get scuffed. They have been amazing. That was the main pros. There's so many pros with a new build property, but obviously this video is going to be probably long enough as it is. So I didn't want to go on forever. So now on to the pros of an old property, or pre-existing old house, whatever you want to call it. The major one for me is that it is cheaper. There is no toys back, they are cheaper. You get more for your money, they are bigger, you can probably get bigger gardens, bigger space, storage as well. You could just get a lot more for your money, I think. And looking around, there was major differences in prices with new build and old houses. Another pro is, unless your neighbours are doing work or having work done on the house extension, etc., you've got no building work. I'll go on to the cons of a new build later on, but oh my god, you would have a peaceful life, depending on your neighbours. Obviously you can't pick your neighbours, unfortunately, but at least you're not having drilling done outside your house at 6 in the morning. With an old house, you've got more characteristics. I find that they are very unique looking, they don't all look the same, and I love old, personally, if I think of an old house, I'm thinking of like beams, like cottages. I love that look, and in the future 100% I will be buying a cottage. That is a dream of mine. Depends what your taste is on whether you like old or new. Obviously modern houses are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but so old houses, I don't know, I just find that new houses do kind of look like model villages. You can redecorate straight away, you don't have to wait. If you've got a vision in mind, you walk through and obviously the house isn't how you want it, you can get to work. There's no waiting, there's nothing holding you back. I mentioned obviously with the incentives with a new build, but with a old house you've got more chance of negotiating price, and also what's in the house. Like there could be a fireplace, curtain poles, all these little things that actually they would probably happily throw in for you. I don't know if you like their sofa, I'm pretty sure you could negotiate that with them. There's loads of little things that you can negotiate with them, but with a new build you can't do that. It's a blank canvas and you have to get all those add-ons yourself. Again, I'll go into that a bit later. Obviously the landscaping is already done for you. The garden is probably a lot bigger. With a new build, obviously you have to buy the turf, but with a old house it would already be done. And it depends, if you move into a house that they are really into their gardening, you'd have the most beautiful garden which you haven't got to pay for, and you've already bought a cheaper house anyway. So, do you know what I mean? It's weighing up those kind of options on what's important for you. Another pro is that the pre-existing house, I find with new houses you're very, very overlooked, whereas an old house you've got more space and you can choose obviously probably more scenic views depending on where you're buying. Don't get me wrong, obviously I'm talking about the UK, it's very built up, the UK, unless you live in the countryside, which I do live in the countryside, but I live in a new build estate, so you're all very much looked onto. I'm quite lucky with my garden, there's not very many houses, but obviously depending on what plot you pick. Now going on to cons. My main con for a new build house is building work. Now, I know they are meant to start work at 8 o'clock. Ours have been starting work at 6 AM. I guess because the current circumstances, what's going on at the moment, they're trying to play catch up, and I'm not going to complain about that. Like, they've got work to do at the end of the day. There's a backlog of people trying to move into their houses, bless them. So there's no way I'm going to be like that neighbour, you shouldn't be doing this outside my window at whatever time in the morning. That's not going to be me. It's a pain in the backside though, honestly, especially, well, I suppose if you watch my previous videos, my last one actually, I think you could see how dead I was and not sleeping. That is hard. Snagging. Snagging was a pro, but it's also a con. Obviously, the building set have cracks appearing, you'll have work that you just look around and it does need doing. You're having to find the time on to when to get the builders round to fix things. At the moment, I'm currently furloughed, so it's not a problem, but once we're all out of this and everyone's back to work, you'll have to be home for the builders to get their jobs done, so it's finding the time on when they can come round and fix these items for you. More expensive. New build houses are more expensive. Now obviously I've listed the pros on what I suppose you can class as why they're more expensive, because you've got brand new items and etc, brand new boilers, kitchen. It's a con at the end of the day when you can, who wants to spend more money when you can get something cheaper? The majority of new builds are now a lot smaller, you get smaller gardens, it's all jam-packed, and they try and build on as a small space as possible. I mentioned this before, but they all look similar, and I'm personally absolutely love architecture. It fascinates me on how these buildings can look that certain way, and the woodwork, not going to go and bore you, but you know what I mean. New builds, they all look like model villages. They don't look unique. You can look at a house, you can instantly tell what's new and what's old just by the outside of it. You know what I'm saying? Once we reserved our property, we'd already been to a mortgage advisor and a solicitor. So we had everything set up. We had our mortgage in principle, etc, all ready to go. I've heard from other people with their experiences that their builders can be quite pushy on who the conveyancer should be, and they have to use their own. At the end of the day, they want to get you in ASAP. They also probably get commission. I'm sure there's something behind the scenes as well, why they push certain conveyancers. There's something in it for them, and they want to get you in as soon as possible, and it's probably easier for them to use the same people over and over again, but they are pushy with that. They tried to get us to change our minds. We were like, no, we've got it all set up, we're using ours. So reminder is that if they say you can't use your own solicitors, it's rubbish. You can use who you want. So we're currently going through it at the moment, and we do need to fill it out, but Bellway want their survey complete because they want their 5-star review. Now, I'm not going to do the survey just yet because I want to make sure that they're on top of everything in the house. I'm not saying that they will or this will happen, but because they want the 5-star review of the survey, they are doing everything ASAP for us. I'm not joking. I'll send them a message and they'll come around and do it straight away. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit pessimistic, I'm not sure. But if I'd done this survey, are they going to be as quick sorting things out for me? I really don't know. I've not experienced it yet. So they are very pushy with getting the survey done. I can't tell you how many emails, how many letters I've had through the door, how many calls I've had from them. Even from just walking down the street, I've had, oh, have you got the survey sorted? Yeah, we'll do. I sound like they're constant. They're not constant, but I don't know how many times I've said it. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've calmed down a little bit now, but I'm sure it's going to pick up again because I've got actually a voicemail on my phone from them, and I'm sure it's after the survey, but I'm waiting for things to get complete first. So as I said before, obviously, new builds are expensive in themselves. They are pricey. There is no two ways about it. I was actually shocked at the difference in prices. That on top, with, like I said, our incentives, we had carpets included, turf, upgraded kitchen. I can't remember now. Like, there was tiles. There's those little bits and pieces that kind of added. Now, you'd have to pay separately for that. Carpets don't get included. You'd have to get your landscaping done. Another con is with landscaping, as because it's just the builders, they just literally lay turf on top of rubble. We are actually going to get a proper landscaper in to do the garden properly. It's okay, like the turf's like all right, but considering other people pay for this, and I'm not sure how much it is. I know for a smaller garden who's lives next to us, pretty sure they were quoted about 400. I'm sure it was, where I don't want to know how much ours would have quoted because ours is bigger, but it's something to definitely keep in mind. The kitchen upgrades, the basics. You're living in this is your house, like you are living in it. Like, you're spending more money on this new build house, and then you've got to pay add-ons for a more expensive kitchen, etc. Whereas if you went for an old house, you could probably get a brand new kitchen for and not even pay the amount for a new build. You know what I'm saying? So that's all the cons I can think of for a new build. Now for the cons for old houses. When you move into an old house, obviously you'll have someone come in and probably you'll scope the works, I guess, on what needs doing, but it doesn't always get picked up. I know a friend who just bought a flat in London and they're going to have to do a lot of work and they didn't know what they're walking into. With a new build, if work needs doing, builders are going to do it for me. They need to pay for that money all themselves, and it could be a lot of work. It could be, I don't know, the electrics, energy. It's not as energy efficient, the old houses, so it could need all new insulation put in, double glazed windows. There's a lot of things that can go on top of it, and you don't know how old the boiler is. Find that out, but you know what I'm saying? You're walking into the unknown and you have to fix it, whereas a new build, it's not down to you to fix, you can just pass it over. With a old house, you can't pick the plot. That house is there. We've bought the Stockton, so there's a few Stocktons around there. There's one at the end of the road that we could have picked, or there's two opposite that we could have picked. Whereas this house that you're looking at, there's only that one house which you have to move into. You can't just place a house and move it down the end of the road. It's already lived in. With a new build, obviously it's all brand new. It's all clean and you're the first time people using it. Old, it's already, like I say, lived in. Like, I don't know how else to explain myself. It's just old, and you might have to, again, like I said previously, get it replaced, etc. Also, another thing with old houses is that when you go in, because it's already lived in, it's already been decorated, maybe it's hard for you to envision you living there or envision how you would decorate the house, so it maybe limits you in that way as well. It's normally a chain. Now with a new build, obviously you can basically go straight in, and if you're first time buyers, there's no chain. With a pre-existing, you're probably going to have a chain and people above you and people below you. Very rarely are you just going to be able to move into that place. Ours took 6 weeks to move in, but it can take 6 months, a year, you just don't know. It's not as energy efficient. And like I said previously, they are colder. You will have to have more work done to it. Bills are going to be higher, like your gas and electric. So I hope you found this useful anyway, and please let me know what you think. Please give me a like and subscribe, would honestly mean so much to me. And let me know what you want to see, and if you want me to talk about anything else about buying a property, because it is a minefield and it's so much to think about. But yeah, anyway, hope to hear from you soon. See you later.